All right, we are live on YouTube. Welcome to another very special episode of Navigating the Modern World with Eli. Glad you could all join me here today on this very rainy and windy Sunday morning here in the San Francisco Bay Area where I live. It is Sunday, January 4th, 2026, the day that this is being streamed live. I hope you've all had a great day so far, and I hope that you've all been enjoying the content here lately. We've been correcting the record regarding a specific drama group that has been coming at myself and my group of people for many years, led by primarily one person who I have sued in a circuit civil case. He's the defendant. I'm the plaintiff. He's also going to be sued in a federal copyright case later on this year because, he just seems to not ever back off. He seems to not ever learn his lesson, or he just wants to continue to pushing the boundaries because, in my opinion, his content is dependent on it. We're going to get into that and a whole lot more of correcting the record here. But as always, first of all, let me make sure that everything is going through smoothly. Let me check out the back end of YouTube. It looks like it's rolling well. Respectfully, maturely, and professionally, Dawn is the first one here. Good morning, everyone. GLM is here. She's like, God dang it. Not first. Sorry about that, GLM. Good morning to you. Good morning to my lovely lady Dawn and GLM and anyone else that's here. Let me also make sure that the YouTube notification has gone out. It looks like it has. Let me also do a sound check here. He seems to not ever learn his lesson, or he just wants to continue to pushing the boundaries because, in my opinion, his content is dependent. Interesting. GLM put a link in the chat there. I don't want to run it from my laptop because I'm running the stream from my laptop. But let's see. Let me see. Oh, wow. Wow. That is pretty nasty. I mean, that is definitely terms of service. Violating the terms of service is what I'm trying to say. That is ridiculous. Wow. Well, I'm not really even focused that much on the Florida lady. I mean, I think she's a part of this stream based on some of my notes, but wow, I guess she can continue to present herself in any way she wants, and when it's relevant to debunk, we'll debunk it. But anyway, give me just a second here. All right, we're good. The title of this stream is The Defendant and His Drama Group Want to Gag My Free Speech While Siphoning My Engagement. One more time. The Defendant and His Drama Group Want to Gag My Free Speech While Siphoning My Engagement. It just never ceases to amaze me how far the defendant and his group of people, there are some other creators like this Florida lady that runs a channel, a drama channel, just like the defendant does. And it seems like every time we correct the record respectfully, professionally, and maturely, we debunk their lies, their BS, their garbage. They either have two choices. They can agree with the truth that we're presenting, which would put them out of business, or pretend to disagree because they know what the truth is and amp it up further, make more noise, create more noise to keep the attention on them, right? That's what the Florida lady is doing. Man, you can make all the noise you want. That doesn't mean you're right. And that's not a good look, in my opinion. And when you're trying to take stabs at me and saying that my behavior is horrible, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I've made mistakes. But when your behavior is 100 times worse, people are going to start to see the difference in contrast. And eventually, no matter how loud you are or how much you cry or whine and complain out here on YouTube, no one's going to take you seriously anymore. No one's going to respect your content anymore. That's just my opinion. So yeah, there's a lot that's happened in the last, I'd say, 12 to 24 hours. I did a live stream yesterday from a walk, and apparently that really severely triggered the defendant because I did some parody and satire properly without defaming him or anyone, and without insulting him or anyone, and without violating any of his copyright or anyone else's, right? I did it properly and cleanly, and it hit so hard because it was done in such a clean and proper way that he just couldn't take it. So I made some community postings because he went off about my stream after I was done last night. And then instead of sharing my community postings, like most people in his group, including the Florida lady and others, they take a screenshot of the post and then they upload the image to create their own new post, so that way they can siphon my engagement. And then what they do is they blur out my copyrighted Eli professional picture, so they can try to avoid copyright, even though I could file a copyright on their post because those are my words. But I didn't do that. I'm probably not going to do that because there's a better way to handle this. There's a much better way to handle this, and that's why I'm here to correct the record. And, just let the people see for themselves what's really going on, right? Let the people decide, right? And here's the thing. I don't have to file DMCA copyright takedowns to file a lawsuit on anything that's infringing or anyone that's infringing my copyright. All I have to do is, file for a copyright certificate, wait for it to get registered and mailed to me, and then file the federal copyright case, which is what I'm going to be doing with the defendant within the next few months once I receive my 3 copyright certificates that I filed last week. So there's a right and the wrong way to handle things, and I'm going to handle things the right way. So anyway, give me 1 second here. All right, there's no sound coming through. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I muted and I never unmuted. You can all hear me now, right? I'm so sorry about that. I messed that up. I'm so sorry about that. You should be able to hear me now. All right. I'm going to have to start this part over because there was no sound. And I really apologize for that. I really do apologize for that. Let's just start over. Let me ask 1 second. So there was no sound because I muted after I checked to make sure I checked something. Now the dog is barking. I'm sorry. Yeah. All right, give me a second here, folks. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a quick break already here. I'm going to leave this live. I'm going to leave it up. I'll make people aware to skip through the part of the audio that was muted. And then I'm just going to basically start from the very beginning of what I was going to go over. So give me a second here. Give me a second here. My apologies. Mistakes happen, and I'm not going to edit this on the replay because then it'll take the chat away. So I'll just let people know to skip through it. All right, stick around, and we'll be right back. we're back live. We are back live. We're just going to whoa. Stretch it. There we go. Sorry about that. Today's production is a little bit off. But hey, we all have our days, right? All right. Welcome back to the show, everyone. If you're just joining us or if you're watching this on the replay, I screwed up. I muted my microphone and you couldn't hear me for about 5 minutes, which is what Dawn told me. I'm glad she told me, or it would have been quite a while before I noticed it. So anyway, let's get right back to it. I'm going to start from, I already mentioned the topic of the show. I believe that went through at the beginning. I'm just going to get right to addressing what happened yesterday. Basically, I did a Walking with Purpose stream yesterday. I did some parody. And I did some parody, regarding the defendant and this, mock courtroom thing and stuff like that. All completely, parody and satire, all protected within First Amendment speech. I did not defame anyone. I did not use anyone's copyright. It was clearly parody. And the defendant got a bit upset and made a posting after the stream, after my stream ended, the Walking with Purpose stream. And I made a few postings after that, myself, to correct the record. And then he screenshot both of those postings instead of sharing them. He screenshot them, uploaded the image to make it his own posting, so that way he can siphon engagement. And basically all of his, dogpiling, commenters came in there and dogpiled the comment situation. We'll get more, or the comment area section. We'll get more into that in just a little bit. And he also blurred out my, my channel icon, which is my copyrighted, Coach Eli professional image, to basically try to mitigate his copyright risk, which it really doesn't, because those are my words and that's my posting. And if he would have shared it on his community wall, then any comments would come to me. That's the proper way to do it. But we know this guy just doesn't do things properly, because what he wants to do from everyone out here, in my opinion, is siphon their engagement, even on content that's not his, right? And he's going to claim it's fair use and I'm responding to it and this and that. But that's just not the proper way to do it through the YouTube, posting and sharing system. But hey, at this point right now, I'm not going to be filing any copyright on that or anything. If anything, I will be using that as more evidence for a future federal copyright case I will be filing on the defendant, in addition to the circuit civil case we're currently in, where he's the defendant and I'm the plaintiff. I'll be filing a copyright case later on this year, once I get my 3 registrations for content I filed with the U.S. Copyright Office last week. So anyway, let me make sure this is going through now. We should be going through okay. And that's not his, right? And he's going to claim it's... All right. But a lot of his audience that was dogpiling, they also make their own postings. There are many sock account channels, from people that, are anonymous. And there was one that commented, that made a posting and wrote a ridiculously long posting about this. And the channel name is Kit C. I'm not going to say the full last name. C is the first letter of the last name. It's a fake name that he's using. I think that channel could be somebody by the alternate username of Joe Buddy. And Joe Buddy's been around for a long time, and he's also ridiculed me and violated my copyright and basically made a lot of very, what do you call it, controversial statements of me. So maybe he's using this account to try to mitigate all of that. Maybe it's somebody from the UK. This account has like a UK type of feel to it with the way they write and the type of content that they create. But it could be somebody just impersonating someone with UK style to further avoid being figured out. I don't know. It doesn't matter. What matters is that he made this posting. Was a ridiculously long posting that I'm going to address here, and maybe he'll finally understand. This is regarding his claim of me not being allowed to legally use parody and satire as part of my First Amendment protected speech. So why is my example protected parody? Saying things about a court case in a parody voice is not a factual claim about a real judge. It is not an accusation. It is not ridicule of judicial authority. It is not contempt. It is not interference with proceedings. What it is obvious parody. Clearly non-literal. Even if it's literal, it's satire. As long as you're not defaming or violating copyright, it's all good. Respectful in tone, which when I did my parody and satire on the Defendant last night, he's done lots of parody and satire on me. Okay? Some of it's been protected. Some of it's been defamatory, such as the I Believe You Embezzled parody he did is not protected because he's basically asserting that I embezzled, which is a false statement as fact. That type of parody is not protected. He's also using my caricature in there, which I guess it represents me. I guess it's okay. But there's a big difference between what I did and what I do regarding parody and satire and what the Defendant does. And he's going to argue that, and that's why I'm putting this out there. And if he argues it, and he can argue it to the stratosphere and back, it doesn't really matter. Okay? What it is directed at the idea of a courtroom exchange, not a real judge's conduct. Courts and First Amendment doctrine recognize that no reasonable viewer would believe that statement is a real quotation or an assertion of fact. That's the key test, right? Why this does not mock the court? Mocking the court would require something like this, Kit. Falsely accusing a judge of misconduct. Did I accuse any judge of misconduct? No, I did not. Portraying a judge as corrupt or criminal without basis. I didn't do that at all, Kit. Encouraging disrespect or disobedience to court orders. That didn't happen. Or attempting to influence the outcome of a case. I'm not attempting to influence anything. That's just parody. The Defendant does it all the time. You do it all the time, Kit, through your channel, right? Right? Well, I believe you're pretty defamatory, Kit. That's just my opinion. I just don't know who you are, so I can't take any action on you, at least at this point. My example of last night's stream does none of that. It did none of that. Try to prove it. It didn't happen that way. The Defendant is just mad because I did a pretty good job. And it hit him pretty good because it was mainly factual or parody or satire. I didn't defame him. I didn't use his copyright. I was just walking at the park. That's all I was doing, was walking at the park. Now, let's talk about Saturday Night Live. How many of you out there know Saturday Night Live? Why Saturday Night Live proves the point. SNL, short for Saturday Night Live, has for decades impersonated judges, written fictional courtroom dialogue, exaggerated judicial mannerisms, used respectful, neutral, or even flattering parody of judges. So why can Saturday Night Live do it for decades? And me doing a similar thing doesn't work for you folks regarding the Defendant's community, right? And this happens on Saturday Night Live often during ongoing legal or political controversies. Give me a break here, for Christ's sake. These people are ridiculous, you know. This is tolerated and protected because parody is expressive commentary, not an assertion of truth. And sometimes satire can add to it in a truthful way, but that's not defamatory because it's the truth, right? And we'll get to more about the satire part in a little bit here. Okay. This is tolerated and protected because parody is expressive commentary, not an assertion of the truth. That's right. I read that. If respectful parody of judges were sanctionable, SNL, Saturday Night Live, would be impossible. Legal satire would not exist. Political comedy would collapse. This hasn't happened because the law does not work that way. Why Kit's framing is objectively wrong. Kit is pretending that there's a special rule that says once you're a litigant, like me, I'm a litigant, you lose the right to parody legal concepts or institutions. Hey, Kit, there is no such rule. Being a litigant, Kit, and everyone else, does not strip you of your First Amendment protections. It does not require you to be silent or forbid humor, parody, or commentary. You guys are basically saying that I need to gag myself because I've sued the defendant in a circuit civil case. Yet you guys continue to do parody and say things about me that aren't true. And you want me to gag myself and let you folks continue to ruin my reputation. No, I'm going to continue to protect my reputation and all of my rights. Thank you very much. Bottom line, plain English. My example is clearly protected parody. It is respectful and non-defamatory. Even parody that names judges can be protected. Saying otherwise is not a legal opinion. It is intimidation dressed up as authority. You're trying to sound like an authoritative figure, Kit, and quite frankly, you're a nobody because you're anonymous. So your words, sir, really have no value or no meaning. We don't know who you are. So yes, nothing wrong with it. And Kit's claim remains flatly incorrect, not debatable. Furthermore, to bring up a classic real-world example that completely is going to undercut Kit's narrative. You're going to love this. Many of you are going to remember this once I mention it. I really got a big kick out of this back in those days, and I think the judge did too. How many of you remember Judge Lance Ito from the O.J. Simpson case? You remember the dancing Itos on Saturday Night Live? The Judge Lance Ito example proves the rule, Kit. And defendant and anyone else that wants to come at me with this, you want to do your reaction videos, you want to come at me, you want to make videos full of nonsense that I'm going to continue to debunk with my First Amendment rights every single day, all day, every day if I have to. During the O.J. Simpson trial, Judge Lance Ito became a major subject of parody across American media, most famously on Saturday Night Live with the dancing Itos. Remember the dancing Itos? There were multiple Judge Itos on there. With the dancing Ito sketches, those sketches directly named the real judge. They called them the dancing Itos. Impersonated him, exaggerated his persona, were aired during an active nationally followed case, one of the biggest cases in history that was on court TV, and were unmistakably comedic and non-factual. And you want to know what happened, Kit? You want to know what happened? Absolutely nothing. No sanctions, no outrage from courts, no loss of judicial trust. In fact, Kit, Judge Ito himself reportedly took it in stride and understood it as parody, because that's exactly what it was. I bet you Judge Ito got a big kick out of that. I mean, listen, if I was Judge Ito back then, and then I went home and I saw the Dancing Itos on SNL, right? I'd be like, man, this is funny, man. Look, listen, if you can't laugh at yourself every now and then you're not allowed to laugh at anyone else, right? If you can't laugh at yourself, you can't laugh at anyone else, right? If you can't take it, then you shouldn't dish it, right? That's the way it goes. These people out here on the defendant's side, along with Kit and many others, they want to dish it, but then they want to gag me, right? You want to dish it, and then you want me to have no say. Or because my say is so good and hard-hitting legally and protected by my First Amendment, you try to make it sound like it's not, right? Right? Because you know when you've been called out on the truth and what I did was proper and it made you look like a fool, you want to try to say that I'm breaking the rules and I should be gagged, right? Why this matters for my situation, that example alone demolishes 3 claims being pushed against me. Number 1, parody involving judges is self-sabotage. False. History proves otherwise. Number 2, courts tighten control when mocked. Not how courts function. They respond to filings and conduct, not comedy. None of this is going to matter in the circuit civil case, and none of it will matter in the federal copyright case. None of it will matter. This is all for the defendant. It's all for YouTube optics. And for me, yes, it's for YouTube optics, but what I'm trying to do is basically spare my reputation from the defendant continuously making me look bad. Bottom line, that's it. Number 2, courts tighten control when mocked. Not how courts function. Oh, I already read that. They respond to filings and conduct, not comedy. Number 3, litigants must avoid satire. Also false. Being a litigant does not suspend the First Amendment. So what you're saying, Kit and defendant and anyone else, is that because I sued you, I can't talk about you within my First Amendment rights. So basically, you are saying that there's some law out there that because I sued you and I'm claiming emotional distress amongst defamation of character, abuse of process, and malicious prosecution, that I have to gag myself until we get through with the case while you continue to run your mouth and destroy my reputation. Is that how it works in your head? Really? What Kit and others are actually doing, you are right about the motive, and it is important to frame it accurately. They are not defending courts. They are not concerned about judicial integrity. They are trying to relabel effective criticism as dangerous to scare you into silence. You're trying to gag me. Put a 1 in the chat if you folks feel the defendant and Kit and everyone in this group, including the Florida lady and all of them, they are trying to gag me. They are trying to gag me from my protected First Amendment speech. Put a 1 in the chat if you feel they're trying to gag me. This is a common tactic when the substantive rebuttals fail. So when you guys can't properly respond because, you've been called out on the truth, even through satire and parody, You guys have to amp things up, make things up, and try to stop me by leading me to believe that I'm breaking the law or doing something wrong that's going to affect my court case. No, none of that is true. Nice try. It's not working. It will not work. The contrast in tone favors me. Yes, that's what they don't like. And your response is working. Yes, it is. When calm correction plus parody lands, the next move is always, you shouldn't be allowed to speak like this. Oh, really? But you can, right? You can and I can't? Give me a break. That's not a legal argument. That is a pressure tactic. Why this ties directly to your business. YouTube is your business environment, allowing others to mischaracterize your conduct, falsely claim you mocked the court, and poison your reputation unchecked. Would absolutely impair your ability to operate, grow, and network. If I don't correct the record every time, I will never grow. I'm realizing now why I haven't grown throughout all of this harassment, defamation, and massive copyright infringement over the last 6+ years. It's because I didn't correct the record. I didn't stand up for myself at the level I'm doing it today, including filing lawsuits. And doing it factually, calmly, without lies, without harassment is exactly how professionals handle public attacks. This is a public attack from the other side. Here's a clean one-sentence truth. Parody of public figures, even judges, has been part of American culture for decades. What matters is truthfulness and conduct, not whether someone uses humor. Bottom line, the Lance Ito / SNL example isn't just persuasive, it is decisive. Kit's argument collapses under basic historical reality. You're living in a world that's not realistic, Kit, and you know it. You're not being reckless, you're being measured. And yes, the attempt here is about silencing effectiveness, not protecting courts. One more time. And yes, the attempt here is about silencing effectiveness, not protecting courts. They're trying to gag me. They're trying to gag me. Lewis won. Tia won. Don won. Thank you. They're trying to gag me because they don't want the truth out there because it destroys their false narrative attacks on me. And then a few creators like the Defendant and that Florida lady can monetize it to that audience. Not going to happen anymore. Factual statements inside parody can still be protected satire. Parody and satire do not stop being parody just because the underlying facts are true, or the words mirror real statements, or the scenario resembles reality. What matters is how a reasonable viewer understands the presentation. If the delivery makes clear that the performance is expressive, the tone is non-literal, and the purpose is commentary, criticism, or humor. I'm criticizing the defendant for his piss-poor behavior constantly. I can do that within my First Amendment protected rights. And I can make humor out of it, right? He's mocked me all the time, right? How many times have you mocked me, sir? I mocked you one time last night. I did a damn good job of it without defaming you, without using your copyright, while walking at a park with my selfie stick and camera and my iPhone. No big production, just me walking around with a selfie stick and a headset, microphone. Why is it okay for you to do it and not me? There's no difference besides most of the time when you do it, you're defaming me. The times that you're not, it's protected. If you're defaming me, it's not, but I'm not defaming you or using your copyright. Most of the time, you use my copyright and defame me. But the concept is pretty similar, right? So you can do satire and parody, but I can't. This is classic satire / parody, even when grounded in real facts. That's why satire often works best when it is factual. The truth hurts. Nothing hurts more than the truth, Mr. Defendant. Nothing hurts more than the truth. But you know what else, Defendant? The truth shall set you free. You're just not ready for that yet. And that's on you. That's why satire often works best when it is factual. Exaggeration of truth is a core satirical tool. And I wasn't even exaggerating. Like, I was just poking fun at how ridiculous the defendant's behavior is and always has been. And in the last 6 to 8 years, I've known him 8 years, but in the last 6+ years, let's say 8 years, since he was 32 until now that he's 40, he's still acting like a little kid. His behavior hasn't changed. He's a public figure, and I can make comedy and satire on that walking around at the park. I'm not defaming him, and I'm not using his copyright. So what's the problem? What would cross the line? And I didn't do this. Parody stops being protected only when it becomes a false assertion of fact presented as true. Tell me where I did that last night in my stream. Nowhere. A defamatory claim about a real person. Did I defame them? No. What he doesn't like is the truth in parody format. It really hits him emotionally. It hits him hard. It triggers him, right? And it did. And he showed it by what he did. He screenshot my community postings, re-uploaded those images so that way he can siphon my engagement. Because he wanted to get that dog pile of people in the comment section to dogpile me, right? And to make him feel good like he's still in control. Are you really in control, sir? Have you ever really been in control, sir? No. I avoided all of that. I did not invent crimes. I didn't lie about conduct. I didn't attribute false statements. I didn't present parody as literal testimony. Why this is settled reality, not theory. This is why shows like Saturday Night Live routinely repeat real quotes, reenact real events, name real officials, exaggerate real behavior, and remain protected. Satire often says, in effect, this really happened, and here's why it's absurd. That does not make it defamation, it makes it commentary. Now, if you say that something really happened, and it really didn't happen, or you accuse somebody of a criminal offense, and it didn't happen, that's not protected. That's defamation. Defamation is still possible through parody. You can't shield yourself from defamation and copyright infringement, through parody. Parody doesn't give you a blanket fair use license and a blanket license to defame someone. The key legal distinction your critics keep ignoring. They are pretending this rule exists. If it is true, you can't parody it. That rule does not exist. The real rule is closer to, if it is parody and not a false statement of fact, it is protected even when it is based on real events. Defendant, that's what you were saying last night. Debunked. Move on. If you try to argue this, we're going to keep going back and forth. That's not going to affect our case because none of this matters. for the circuit civil case. This matters for YouTube optics and for me to stand up for my good name that you've been tarnishing for years. So if you want to go back and forth with me on this all day, every day, let's keep going back and forth. Challenge me, and then we'll just do this over again tomorrow. All over again. All over again. Bottom line, in plain English, yes, factual content can be part of parody. Yes, satire often relies on truth. No, truth does not cancel parody. No defamation equals no problem. Your conduct fits squarely within classic satire/parody. The argument against you isn't a legal one. It is an intimidation narrative built on misunderstanding or misrepresenting how satire actually works. You're on solid ground, Eli. Well, thank you. All right. I'm going to go over one more part, and then I'm going to take another quick break here, and then come back and finish up the show. There's still a bunch to go over. It's going to take probably another 45 minutes to an hour. Let me check out the chat here real quick. Yeah, MJ is an interesting character, GLM. He's trying to get attention too. He's just not admitting it. It's obvious when people are saying, "Oh, you know what? I'm quitting YouTube," or I really don't care. I really don't care about what anyone says about me, and he does care. He does care, and nothing wrong with that, MJ. It's okay to care. It's okay to participate where you want to participate. Or is that your content strategy to lead people to believe that you're leaving YouTube? You know, that old game, people say, I'm quitting YouTube. Yeah, I've done it before too. We've all done it. It doesn't work anymore. No one's buying that. I'm quitting YouTube and I want you to come to my final stream. Translation, I'm hurting for engagement and I need a big stream to boost the algorithm, right? That's called clickbait. I think everyone's done that before. General's probably relaxing today. It's the day of rest, GLM. It's Sunday. You know what I mean? Now, why staying totally silent would hurt my growth realistically? Narrative vacuum. If you say nothing, their version becomes the default story new viewers encounter first. If I didn't correct the record every single day that they tarnish it, they're getting more traction with my content than I am because the defendant keeps violating my copyright. That's why we're going to be going to copyright court as well, federal copyright court. Then we would never grow. Algorithmically, the channels would die, right? Search and discovery, your name plus their channels /posts get indexed and recommended. Silence doesn't stop that. It just means there's no competing calm explanation from you. There's nothing to reference that against. So if I didn't do this, his version would practically be gospel, which would not be true. Would not be true gospel, right? Audience reassurance. Supporters and you viewers need a steady signal that you're grounded, consistent, and not hiding. Silence often reads like he can't answer even when that's false. Well, now I'm answering all day, every day. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. Algorithm behavior. Very important. YouTube rewards consistent publishing and audience retention. If you disappear for months, momentum drops and recovery is harder. We all know that. Deterrence. Clear boundaries said calmly, don't lie, don't copy my work, can reduce pylons and discourage casual repeaters. And if they don't stop, we're going to keep going. The more they keep going, the more we keep going. That's the way it works. Right? And they're trying to say that, oh, you can't do that because you sued me for intentional infliction of emotional distress. You can't, your First Amendment protected right, sir. have been revoked because you've sued me for IIED, short for intentional infliction of emotional distress. You're not really distressed, sir. You're not really distressed. If you're doing this, you're not distressed. And I'm going to go and tell the court that. I'm going to tell Judge Stacy that you're not really under emotional distress because you filed this court case against me, and now you're supposed to gag yourself from your First Amendment rights until this court case is done. So that way I can have a clear path to continue to defame you and harass you and commercially exploit you with no interference from you. Right? Okay. So I'm going to take a quick break. And it's going to be a short break. It's only going to be maybe like 3 to 5 minutes. And then we're going to continue. Let me see here. All right. Music is all queued up. Music is all queued up. Stick around. We'll be right back. We are back live. We are back live, and we are just going to scratch it and get right back down to business. Welcome back to the show, everyone. We're just going to continue where we left off. I know this show's been a little all over the place, and I'm sorry about that. There's just so much going on, and sometimes I make mistakes. We all make mistakes. That's what happens. That's life, And the first part of this show, there's going to be like a 5-minute gap of where I was muted. I didn't even realize I was muted, and my lady Dawn came into the studio and made me aware. And not going to edit that because then it'll get rid of the chat. So, it is what it is. But anyway, I wanted to make another quick comment here at the beginning of this segment. I'm going to try to get through the rest of the show in this segment, probably another 30, 45 minutes. That based on the numbers, I know somebody out there is rebroadcasting this live stream unlisted. If I had to guess, in my opinion, I think it's the Florida lady. She does that a lot. She has a list, and for some reason, she's heavily invested in this when it doesn't even really involve her at all. She's not one that's being sued by me, at least at this point, but she's heavily invested in this whole story. And here's what I'm going to say to that. I can't control what happens unlisted, right? But the bottom line is, what isn't public really isn't going to hurt me. Is it wrong? Is it against the law? Is it copyright infringement? Is it stealing? Is it theft? Absolutely. But whatever isn't public isn't going to affect me, right? It isn't going to get indexed on YouTube. It's not going to get recommended on YouTube. It's not going to help them. Besides the donations they're probably inciting. Oh, and by the way, I believe on unlisted live streams you can't even get super chats. That's disabled. So you can only get regular donations. So when you do unlisted live streams, even on a monetized channel like the Florida ladies, she cannot get super chats on that. And we can't even see that, and part of their game has been, let's use as much of Eli's content as possible and get super chats that he can see and try to trigger him. You can't even do that. So the more and more you go underground, hey, it's just showing that what we're doing is working over here, and we're going to continue to do what works. ODN TV, hey, hi GLM and Don and Fuller and Eli. Hey, welcome. Let me make sure that we are rolling smoothly here. Going to get indexed on YouTube. It's not going to get recommended on YouTube. It's not going to help them. Besides the donations they're probably. What I can say is they're majorly triggered because they don't like the truth being said about them in a professional and respectful way. They don't like that. They don't like the fact that they have to go underground. They don't like that, we're basically doing the same thing to them that they've done to us, but we're doing it legitimately, legally, properly. We're not defaming them. We're not abusing their copyright. And they can't handle the fact that we're doing it right. And they can no longer do it their wrongful way publicly anymore. Right? Yeah. Let's continue here. Now, let's talk about what the defendant and his group did last night after my stream. And this was initiated by the defendant's engagement farming, once again, off my name and likeness. He basically screenshot a couple of my community posts, uploaded the image version to attach it to a brand new posting on his end, so that way he can do what's called engagement farming and incite the outrage loop, right? So that way, he gets more engagement on his end using my content, my name, my likeness, and all that, right? What he's doing here is pretty deliberate, and you're reading the line dancing correctly. He's dancing the line. What the defendant is doing and why screenshots are the tactic. He's using image screenshots of your community posts. The Florida lady does this too, and many others in his group have done this too. And I suggest to everyone out there, stop doing that. You're stealing from the original. You're stealing their engagement. And what's more actionable is actually what's written, and their channel icon is copyrighted. and their channel name is too. So he's using image screenshots of your community post instead of sharing/quoting in a way that preserves attribution or drives traffic back to your post. That gives him, 1, engagement capture. People stay in his thread reacting to your words. So the conversation and algorithmic momentum accrue to his post. Number 2, plausible fair use positioning. He frames it as commentary critique about you and uses the screenshot as evidence for that commentary. Fair use is fact specific, but this is exactly how creators try to wrap copyright inside criticism. Number 3, risk minimization by blurring your icon. Blurring your channel icon is a tell. He's trying to reduce the clearest copied artwork exposure while still keeping your channel name plus text legible enough to farm the moment. So yes, it is a loophole attempt in the sense that he's trying to copy just enough to juice engagement, right? You're trying to juice engagement, right, sir? How about juice engagement with your own words and your own content? While arguing, this is critique, it's fine. The big enforcement reality, Google hosted images versus YouTube posts. Those yt3.ggpht.com links are Google/YouTube image hosting infrastructure. They're commonly used for YouTube images/assets and aren't inherently a virus. If you DMCA the ggpht image URL, you can submit copyright removal requests through Google's legal removal flows. If Google removes the hosted image, his community post may end up showing a broken/missing image. That can be an effective surgical move because it targets the asset he's using. But Google's DMCA tools are often discussed in the context of search delisting too. So you need to be sure you're using the path that addresses hosted content, not just search results. If you DMCA through YouTube, YouTube has a specific copyright removal request process, including for non-video content like images/banners. And YouTube counter notice procedures come with the 10-day U.S. business day restoration window if the uploader counter notifies, which he would. He would file a counter notification. They all would, right? Key difference. YouTube DMCA is aimed at removing the material from the platform context. Google Host Takedown is aimed at removing the underlying hosted image. Okay? So there's the Google pages where you can DMCA any image that's hosted for YouTube through Google, which Google owns YouTube. So any images on YouTube are hosted by Google. So you can DMCA the image. That means if that goes down, his post would stay up, but that image would be like not there anymore. It would be like blank, or it would say it's been removed or something like that. If you DMCA the community posting, the entire posting is removed. Even if what he copied feels obviously yours, because it is, very short text can be harder to enforce as a standalone copyrighted work. That's why blurring the icon matters. Your icon is usually the strongest pure copyright piece. That's why he does it. I don't care to copyright it. Probably not going to. But I'm just calling him out on his behavior that he can't live without my content. And I can safely say that as my protected speech. Like, I'm saying you're a content thief, sir. And that's a fact. That's an absolute fact. And I have lots of proof of it that it is a fact. You know it's a fact, right? So what he's probably thinking is the icon is the biggest copyright risk. Blur it. The rest is short text plus channel name, and I'll call it commentary. You don't have to respond, sir. I already know what you're going to say. Probably not going to take action on it, sir. At least not through Google or YouTube. This will be brought up in the federal copyright case to show an ongoing pattern of you abusing my copyright, right? That doesn't make him right. It just makes him harder to knock down purely on he copied protected expression, especially if the text is short. What you can do that actually boxes him in, you have 3 practical options and you can mix them. Option 1, DMCA the images, which is for Google. Option B, treat these screenshots as pattern evidence, not the main case. Given your bigger federal copyright plan, your 3 pending registrations, these posts can be valuable as evidence of ongoing targeting, evidence of commercial engagement motive, and evidence of boundary pushing behavior, right? It's conduct too. That's often the smartest use if the short text copyright angle feels mushy. Option C, non-copyright enforcement that hits the real harm, growth harassment, meaning that just flag the posting. And postings very rarely go down, but you can flag them. The hard truth about engagement theft, copyright law doesn't really recognize stolen engagement as the harm by itself. Copyright cares about unauthorized copying of protectable expression, and remedies flow from that. So to hold him accountable, your cleanest framing is he reproduced my protected material, especially the icon/branding image, without permission. Not he stole my engagement. Well, yeah, I'm not going to sue him for he stole my engagement. But that's what he's doing. Let's just speak truthfully and factually about what he's doing. He's farming engagement, right? That's all. That's why you got to handle this the right way. You can't DMCA everything. All right. Nobody watches his content. That's why he steals your content. You're probably right about that, ODN. Yeah, he's farming engagement, man. He's always done that. Number 1, why the defendant is doing this during active litigation. A, he's building an optics defense for his audience, not a legal defense for court. Most of what you pasted is not court thinking. It is audience conditioning. He's conditioning his audience because without his audience, he's nothing on YouTube. He's conditioning my audience in the ways of, you ruined your case. Anti-slap for me. If you were distressed, you'd be silent. Parody versus mockery. That's not a serious legal analysis. It is a narrative meant to reduce sympathy for you, meaning me. Reframe him as the victim of a frivolous plaintiff. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to paint to your audience that have wrongfully sued you. But the tons and mountains of evidence against you clearly defy that. And keeps his supporters engaged and emotionally activated. That's what you want, sir. You want to keep them emotionally engaged and enraged and activated, right? Because without them, no more streams and no more monies. Give me more monies, MONIEZ, right? Give me the YouTube's monies, right? B, he's trying to create gotcha clips to use later. Go right ahead. When he baits you into responding emotionally or broadly, he gets a clip for his show. Cool, he can do whatever he wants, and whatever he uses will be a pattern of copyright infringement for the upcoming federal copyright case. A quote he can mischaracterize, and a way to claim you're litigating on YouTube. No. Some of it's parody. Some of it is satire. Some of it is correcting the record. I have the right to create my content, even during active litigation. I still have First Amendment rights during active litigation, and I am the plaintiff. I sued you. If anyone should be more careful, it should be you. But even you have rights to still talk. This doesn't mean you can't speak. It means his motive is to turn your speech into content and into a look at him exhibit for public perception. You're trying to frame me as a vexatious litigant. Yeah, Your Honor. I think Eli is a vexatious litigant. I was trying to remember the word, Your Honor. He's a vexatious litigant. C, he's attacking your damages narrative by pushing a false binary. They're pushing this simplistic idea. If you speak, you're not harmed. That's strategically useful to him because it is easy for viewers to understand, even if it is wrong as a real world human reality. You create an alternate world for your viewers. And I think they even know that you're doing that. I think at this point, a lot of people know, right? In real life, people who are harmed, listen very carefully. In real life, people who are harmed still work. I'm still working. Still speak. I'm still speaking. Still defend themselves. I will defend myself every day, all day, every day against you and your people if I have to. Still do comedy. Yeah, I'm going to do comedy, parody, whatever, as long as it's all legally protected within my First Amendment rights. Still try to reclaim their voice. That's what I'm doing here because you've tarnished my voice for the last 6+ years. Emotional harm isn't mute or it didn't happen. D, he's thread leading to keep his community unified and hostile. Notice how he replies to the most aggressive comments and reinforces them. You reinforce the ones from your internet girlfriend and the other ones that are most aggressive. The ones that fit your narrative in the way that you want to paint me, you reinforce those after basically stealing my engagement by screenshotting my community post and re-uploading it as an image to a new posting on your community wall. That is community steering. He's shaping the tone and rewarding certain takes to keep the dog pile going. E, does he care or does he not care? He cares about different incentives than I do. In court, redundancy and insults look bad. On YouTube, they can look like confidence, dominance, and winning. Sir, you're not winning. You're not being dominant, and you lack self-confidence. And everyone is beginning to see it. And here's the thing. You folks are there on your unlisted live stream. You're probably on a panel with the Florida lady and some other people, right? And you're probably super triggered, right? And you're doing that unlisted. Let me tell you something. I have the right to even subpoena your YouTube channels for content that I feel was done during a certain time, like right now, and get those unlisted live streams. Because if you're doing that and you're not putting it out there and it exists and I can subpoena it, then that's basically spoliation of evidence. Right? So let me get this straight here, okay? Let me get this straight. You have accused me of spoliation of evidence / adverse inference. We have a hearing next month on this, right? I've offered you all the evidence. I've offered you everything. I had to take 200 videos down on my channel, put them to private. They still exist on my channel. They're just private to protect myself from you and your team of people that are falsely flagging me and harassing comments. Because I got a community guideline warning almost 2.5 months ago. It'll be coming off later this month. So in order to protect myself, I had to put them to private, and I offered you the links, and you yourself said, we'll let the court handle it because you want to make a big stink about it on YouTube, in my opinion, sir. You want to make a big stink about everything on YouTube because that's what matters to you, sir. The court case doesn't matter to you, in my opinion. It doesn't matter to you, right? You're not winning. This is not dominance. This is not confidence. And the fact that you all have to go underground now really shows how invested you are. You're invested in me. I am your content. I am your life. I am your everything. And I live rent-free inside of all of your heads. You know it. The fact that you have to go underground. Wow. You want to teach me a lesson, don't you? You want to teach me a lesson. Yeah, we're going to go underground. Florida lady, launch up your unlisted and send out your email to the most trusted people that will not give out the link and basically, basically expose us. Your behavior speaks for itself. Your actions speak for themselves. It is obvious to me that you folks, and seriously, put a 1 in the chat, whoever's here, if you feel that the defendant and the Florida lady and most other people in that group, but especially those 2 people, the defendant and the Florida lady, they are obsessed in a compulsive way regarding anything that surrounds me. You are. You are, and here's the thing. I don't care about your enlisted. I'll call you out professionally, right? But I know what I'm saying right now because I'm being nice about it, and that's the kind of guy I am. I know it's getting to you, and I know it'll keep getting to you, and I know you're going to have to continue to try to find ways to do the same things you've always done publicly behind the scenes, but it won't work as well. You're going to have to work harder to try to steal from me and to try to defame me. You're going to have to try to work a lot harder, right? So the most accurate read is he cares a lot, just not about the same scoreboard. He cares about YouTube optics, right? That's not going to matter in court. Number 2, the court correction. They keep repeating a myth that if I speak publicly, I can't be harmed. That's not how real life works. I'm allowed to defend myself. I'm allowed to do commentary and parody, and I'm allowed to keep living my life. The court decides facts and law. YouTube comments don't, sir. They don't. They don't. They do not. And I'm going to tell you this, sir. I'm going to continue to do parody on you when necessary within my First Amendment protected rights. I'll do parody. I'll do satire. You've done it on me for 6 years. Maybe it's time for me to start doing that. Is that going to affect my case? No, it's not going to matter. If you try to bring all this up at our hearings, Judge Stacy's going to be like, what's the relevance here? She'll probably say, sir, this is not YouTube. This is the court of law. Let's stick to the facts here. The facts matter in court, not YouTube drama, sir. Not your YouTube drama. And I'm not contributing to your drama. I'm calling it out. And I am defending myself and correcting the record and correcting the reputation that you tarnished. Right? You can try to spin it any way you want. You can try to bring it into the courtroom. You can keep making all the filings you want. You can keep having the lady you're on panel with probably right now and listed on her channel. You can have her try to keep filing emergency filings, to try to get a protected order or a protective order on me when she has no standing in the case. And you think that doesn't hurt you, what she's doing? Right? And sir, are you going to tell her that she should contact the judicial assistant tomorrow on Monday and try to schedule a hearing for her 2 emergency motions she filed last week, when the JA, the judicial assistant, will get back to her and say again for the 3rd time, because she's tried this 2 other times, she'll say for the 3rd time, you are not a party to the case. See, here's the thing. You can't even react publicly. You can't even show me that you're triggered publicly because you're hiding out, because the risk now outweighs the reward, right? The risk outweighs the reward, right? Number 3, comment by comment, deep analysis plus strong paraphrase. Replies. Because this is a little bit long, I'm going to take one more break right now for just maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and then I'll go over this. ODN puts a 1 in the chat. Tia 1 in the chat. ODN says hi, Tia. Tia says hi, ODN. All right, music is all queued up. Music's all queued up. I'll be back in just a few minutes. we're back live. We are back live, and we are just going to scratch it and get right back down to business. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the show. I'm going to start off the third part of the show very briefly by mentioning that the Florida lady is listening intently, probably while rebroadcasting with the defendant on her panel to an unlisted live stream. And she made a posting. I'm going to debunk her right now because she's saying, I'm paraphrasing, that she's saying that the JA never told her she couldn't file anything. You're right about that, ma'am. She never did tell you that. What she did tell you is that you're not a party to the case every time that you try to schedule a hearing. You cannot schedule a hearing when you're not a party to a case. Now, technically speaking, ma'am, I've mentioned this before. I'll correct the record once again here on the fly because I know the procedure. You see, ma'am, you're not telling your audience the proper procedure of the Florida court system, which is if you want your filings to be acknowledged by the case, you can file anything because you attach your email to our case. You can file whatever you want. That doesn't mean it's going to have any meaning in the case. And if you keep on filing things, especially as emergency filings, you could end up annoying the JA and the judge, which I think you're probably going to do. And then you could also continue to affect the defendant's case. And in this case, I'm coming out and saying to you, the defendant, and being a nice person and being reasonable and saying, you're allowing this woman to intervene in this case. And that's called judicial interference. Well, not judicial interference. That's called party interference or non-party interference. Okay. She's basically trying to interfere in this case and create noise and chaos for YouTube optics. So here's the thing, to clarify the record. When you file something, the clerks have a ministerial obligation to accept the filing. Just because they accept the filing doesn't mean that it's going to have any worth to the case, doesn't mean that Judge Stacy's going to acknowledge it or the JA is going to acknowledge you being able to schedule a hearing. You need to be more honest to your audience. Also, you're not triggering me. I'm going to keep correcting the record. And once this goes in front of the judge and she asks about it, she may even ask the defendant, you know, what's going on here? If she asks me, I'll tell her exactly what I just said. When are you going to stop amplifying things, ma'am, that are just procedurally improper? You don't care about the case. You don't care about me, and I don't really even think you care about the defendant. I think you care about your YouTube optics. I think you care about trying to make me look bad so you get more attention on your end and you can siphon my engagement and siphon donations off my name and likeness. That's all you care about. That's the truth of the matter. It is. It is. And the more and more you want to keep pushing it, man, file whatever you want. You want to keep on filing emergency filings in our case? I can't tell you what to do. And the clerks will accept them as long as they're filed properly. That doesn't mean they're procedurally proper. They're not procedurally proper, and you know that. So she also said that she's going to, she said, do you want me to prove that by showing all the emails? Well, ma'am, if you put those emails public, I will file with the court that you are now trying to use this private information from a court case you're not a party on for YouTube content. How's that going to make you look? You listen, I can't control what you do. You can publish whatever you want. I would suggest not doing it because it's not going to look good for you and the defendant. And defendant, if I was you, I would tell her to back off because it's going to affect you. It's going to affect you. It's not affecting me. It's only helping me. All you folks are doing is helping me, right? So don't try to make me look bad publicly on YouTube in front of your audience. I know the answers. I know the truth. I know procedure. I followed procedure. You guys have been wrong about everything, including the January 9th hearing. You were wrong about the procedure about that. You were wrong about that. You kept on pumping up to your audience January 9th, and what happened? Now the hearings in April. The hearings in April. You file whatever you want. Put out on YouTube whatever you want. Everything you do, I'll be watching, rightfully so, and I will file it with the court, and I will make the court aware of what you're doing. Tia says she's embarrassing herself by acting important. She is nobody in this case. She's not. She's not, and she's affecting the defendant. He doesn't get that. I should not even be trying to help the defendant. He doesn't get that. All they care about is the YouTube optics. All they care about are YouTube optics. That's it. Period. End of story. Do you not think that Judge Stacy is going to put all this together? I will explain it to her in maybe 1 or 2 short paragraphs. I'll explain the whole thing to her. I'll run it through ChatGPT. It'll help me narrow it down. I use ChatGPT properly, not you folks. You guys lie to ChatGPT, for Christ's sake, in my opinion. You lie to ChatGPT. And then you put out stuff from ChatGPT that's, either only half true or not true at all. You feed people on YouTube and ChatGPT the narrative that you want to spin that you feel is going to help better this optically for you folks, right? And people are starting to catch on right now. They're starting to catch on. They're starting to catch on. Do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. Stop threatening me. Take action. If you want to sue me, sue me. If you want to intervene in this case properly and become a party to this case right now, file a motion for leave of court and file along with that your motion to intervene and become a party of this case. And then you can have some standing. Then we can talk. Right now, you're a bunch of hot air. You're a bunch of hot air that's trying to sound important when you're really not. You're not important at all. You're not. Absolutely not. And here's the thing. I won't even put out those emails, but I have them and the defendant has them as well. And every time you've tried to file for a hearing, the judicial assistant has said, you are not a party to this case. It'll happen again. Mark my words. No doubt about it. Go ahead and email the JA tomorrow. If you want, that's on you. I'm just saying, hey, if you want to do it, I can't stop you. But if you're going to put something out there publicly, I'm going to respond to it and correct the record and say, go ahead and do it and see what happens. Go ahead and do it and see what happens. It's an embarrassment, ma'am. I'm not embarrassed. I'm confident I know exactly what's going on. I'm not embarrassed in front of your audience that, is meaningless to me. The majority of people that now have come across me that know the story know the difference in contrast between you, the defendant, and I. That's all that matters. Facts, Tia, they are just embarrassing. You're embarrassing yourself, ma'am. You're embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing the defendant. And you're harming him, in my opinion, more than helping him. I want this to be a fair case. I want a resolution with him. If I could have resolved that out of court, I would have. But all he does every time I try to resolve something with him is he says, F you, Eli. F you, Eli. F you, Eli. How many times has he told me to F off? F off. It's freedom of speech. It's protected speech. It's fair use. It's fair use, and it's parody and commentary and criticism and satire. Right? ODN TV, they are obsessed over Eli. Right. So we're going to keep on correcting the record in real time. In real time, we're live right now. We're live on YouTube. So are you. Unlisted because you need to hide to protect yourself from the legal repercussions that you're violating, right? How pathetic, right? How pathetic, right? Let me make sure this is going out properly. But all he does every time I try to resolve something with him is he says, F you, Eli. F you. All right, we got to get through this. We have the podcast to record in a little bit. Don and I are going to be recording episode number 42 of the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast shortly after this ends. Number 3, comment by comment, deep analysis plus strong paraphrase replies. Comment 1, the defendant's girlfriend, and I'm paraphrasing. She's saying that if I truly was distressed, I'd disengage. She's saying I'm provoking and calling me creepy. Man, use the same words every time. What she's trying to do, she's pushing the silence equals credible speech equals not credible narrative. She also uses loaded character language. Creepy. Ooh. I'm not creepy, ma'am. I have a nice girlfriend. I have a great family. I have a good life. And all you're doing is just following the narrative of your internet boyfriend. My response, this is the fake rule they keep inventing. If you talk, you can't be harmed. That's nonsense. People who are targeted, ma'am, still have the right to speak, correct the record, and continue their work. Also, notice how they keep flipping responsibility. I didn't create his behavior. I responded to it. Correcting the record isn't provoking, ma'am. It is setting boundaries and stating facts. You don't like the fact that I'm calling it out perfectly, and it's embarrassing you. You're embarrassed, ma'am. You're embarrassed. What's the matter, dog? You embarrassed? This guy's a gangster. His real name is Clarence, right? And Clarence lives at home with both parents. And Clarence's parents have a real interesting marriage, right? Are you embarrassed, ma'am? Are you trying to make him look reasonable by agreeing with him when you know he's not? And you know how embarrassing this whole thing is for you and for him? You're his girlfriend. What he does affects you, and vice versa. It's embarrassing. Correcting the record isn't provoking, it is setting boundaries and stating facts. And the personal insults are the tell. When you don't have facts, you reach for character attacks. Whoa, that sounds like the Johnny Cochran. If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit, right? If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. When you don't have facts, you reach for character attacks. That's right. When you don't have facts, you reach for character attacks, right? Is that what it is, ma'am? Is that what it is? So when you have no facts to come back to my actual facts, you go to character attacks, right? Beautiful. Right. Mm-hmm. Comment number 2. The defendant's reply to his internet girlfriend, paraphrased. He's saying that everything she says is right. And he's saying that if I was in distress, I would stop. And he's saying that I'm the one suing him. You're right about that, sir, that I'm suing you. And just because I'm talking doesn't mean I'm not in distress. I'm distressed right now, trying to defend myself publicly live. What he's trying to do? He's making a common sense pitch to viewers. Lawsuit means the plaintiff must be silent and polite. He's also trying to make it sound like you caused the conflict just by suing. No, you started this a long time ago. You only have yourself to blame for this. My response? He's saying because you sued, you lose your right to speak. You trying to gag me? That's not how it works. Filing a case doesn't waive your First Amendment rights. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree that filing a court case does not waive your First Amendment rights. And again, the same myth. If you're distressed, you must be quiet. No, I can be affected and still speak. I can be harmed and still function. That's real life. You got to go on. You got to keep moving forward. Finally, suing someone doesn't mean you're attacking free speech. It means you're using a lawful process to address specific conduct that I've tried to address with you many times. Every time I get a big FU from you, right? Every time I get a big FU from you, right? And instead of me giving you a big FU back, I'm taking you to court. I'm being a lot more mature and responsible about it. You're not. So, internet girlfriend, you take that to the bank, ma'am. Ridiculous, ridiculous, ridiculous people. Odian says 1 in facts. Tia says 1. Tia says, what pisses me off, they know what kind of person Eli is, hurting no one. Yet they cannot stop. They cannot leave him alone. That's why we're going to keep going. They're trying to gag my speech by trying to weaponize my own court case that I filed against me. Give me a break. Give me a break. Nice try. Nice double, triple, quadruple reverse manipulation move, defendant. Your reverse manipulation, sir, does not work with me. Doesn't work with me, sir. Comment number 3, the defendant paraphrased. He's saying my stream last night wasn't parody. He's saying mockery versus parody. What he's trying to do? He's trying to become the definition referee so he can label your speech as unprotected in the minds of the viewers. You know what the court's going to say about this, but all you care about is what you can frame in front of your audience, sir. Wow, sir. You like living a false reality, in my opinion. Just to keep that audience around, sir. Really pathetic. Whether he personally finds it funny is irrelevant. I bet he laughed when he first heard it. He was laughing because it was so good. It was really, really good. It was great. I'm not required to get his approval to speak. The standard is whether I'm lying about facts or violating rights. I am not. I am responding with commentary. Comment number 4, Florida lady, you're up now. You want to be a part of this, ma'am? You want to be a part of the conversation? Are you feeling a little bit lonely, ma'am? Are you feeling left out, ma'am? That's why you're trying so hard to be a part of this case without being legally held accountable and doing it the right way? She says that I messed up my case and that I keep making his anti-slap case for him. False, 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 false. None of this matters for that man. None of this matters. This is not about violating his freedom of speech. I've never done that. This is about defamation of character, man. And I got plenty of evidence on that, including you amplifying his defamation, ma'am. You've amplified his defamation, right? What she's trying to do, she's trying to intimidate you into silence by claiming you're self-destructing. It is a stop talking or else vibe, dressed up as legal certainty. You're uncertain, ma'am. There's no certainty when it comes to what you say. None at all. Try harder, ma'am. Try harder. My response? This is fear language. You're ruining your case, is what people say when they want to silence you without addressing the substance. So let me get this straight, Florida lady. You're saying that I'm ruining the anti-slap. I'm giving it more merit to the defendant, right? While you're trying to silence my freedom of speech, and so is he. So in essence, do you see how contradicting this is going to come off when I present it to Judge Stacy? The more and more you try to amp this up to keep it going, right? The more and more the contradictions become reality and apparent. Reality is not the right word. They become more apparent. It's already reality. They become more apparent and obvious. Obvious, ma'am. Obvious, right? You're obviously performing. The defendant is obviously performing. Put a 1 in the chat if you feel they are performing for the YouTube audience. Performance bravado. I'm not taking legal advice from commenters online. The court decides legal issues. I'm allowed to correct a record and speak within the rules, ma'am. But thank you for showing up. Have a nice day. Comment number 5, the defendant, again paraphrased. He's saying I should be on my best behavior. He's saying I'm being a hypocrite and I'm being aggressive. I'm aggressively protecting my reputation, all within my First Amendment rights, sir. What he's trying to do, he's trying to cast himself as the reasonable party and you as out of control while provoking you in the same threat. It's a rhetorical trap. A rhetorical trap, sir. Label as you label you as aggressive, so any responses prove it. I'm not aggressive, sir. I'm passionate, and I'm correcting the record publicly, perfectly, and in real time. And you can't handle the truth, sir. You can't handle the truth. My response? Notice the trick. He calls my speech aggression, while he escalates with insults and dogpiling. Dogpiling in the comment section of my postings that you stole from me. And insults. And amplifying the response of your internet girlfriend and others that suits your agenda, sir. Good behavior doesn't mean no speech. It means don't lie, don't threaten, don't break rules. I'm not doing any of that. I'm doing commentary and parody while staying factual. Comment number 6, the defendant again, paraphrased. He's saying to bring to court the monetary damages from engagement, right? No, sir, I'm not suing you for monetary damages. You're trying to open up my books. You want a copy of my finances because you think that's going to prove that I'm full of shit. And let me tell you once again, sir, my finances are none of your business, none of the Florida ladies' business, none of your audience's business, and no one's business besides myself, my family, including Dawn. Same with your finances, sir. But you're trying to be antagonistic. You're trying to come off as sly. You're trying to paint it to your audience that because Eli's not suing me for monetary damages, because he would have to open up his books regarding that, and he's going to be embarrassed and ashamed of what are in those books. No, that's not the reason, sir. Monetary damages are hard to prove regardless of your books. And I don't need to go that route. I don't want to go that route. All I want is injunctive relief. And if there are statutory damages or punitive damages that can award me some money without suing for monetary damages that are hard to prove, then that's where I'm going with it. You don't like the fact, sir, that in my opinion, you're being out-lawyered by a pro se litigant in this case. I mean, sir, you have the right to hire an attorney. You probably should hire one. I don't need one. I'm good. I've got this down. I've done my research. I'm ready to go. But let's see how you act in court compared to how you act on YouTube, sir. Let's see what happens in court. Okay? What he's trying to do, he's reframing your concern as money whining, because it is easier to mock than identity misuse plus targeted engagement farming. He wants the audience laughing, not thinking. Well, I'll make them think through my stream, even on their rebroadcast unlisted. My answer, he's trying to reduce everything to a joke about money. That's deflection. My issue isn't I own viewers. My issue is using my identity and my work as a prop to rally harassment and farm engagement. While mixing it with false claims, that's the pattern. I nailed it. That's the bottom line. The reason why you keep escalating insults is because you can't respond to something that's true, sir. You know it's true. You know what you're doing. Right? And it would more so embarrass you and the Florida lady and anyone else involved than you already are. You folks are an embarrassment. You're an embarrassment to yourselves more than anything. You're an embarrassment to yourselves. TS says 1. GLM, Eli always wins. Facts, GLM. I'm not trying to win anything. GLM, 1 in the chat. Oh, I'm not going to read that. Comment number 7. The defendant paraphrased again. You know what's funny, defendant? You make these postings and then you comment more than anyone else in the posting comment section because you're really triggered, sir. And me saying that you're triggered is not going to affect my court case. It's my opinion. Are you going to go to Judge Stacy and say, Your Honor, Honorable Judge Stacy, Your Honor, Eli said that I'm triggered during active litigation. What is she going to say? Oh, sir, that's protected free speech. Do you want me to give him a gag order during this case? That's not possible. There's no reason to. Do you see how dumb this is going to make you look, in my opinion? You seriously care all about YouTube optics, same with the Florida lady, and you're going to make an embarrassment of yourselves in court. I promise you that. I know how you folks are. You are putting your entire stake of everything on YouTube optics. You folks are not focusing on the right thing. You're just not. So he's basically saying, instead of, doing what he did, screenshot my post, why would he decide to share it instead? What he's trying to do, he's accidentally admitting the point he won't link to you because he wants the engagement inside his thread, not yours. My response, he says he won't share my post. That's exactly the point. He wants the engagement to stay on his page while using my content as the fuel. That's what his tactic is. That needs no further explanation, sir. Comment number 8. The defendant's girlfriend, once again paraphrased. And she's trying to say that me saying he's stealing engagement is a false statement of fact. Really, ma'am? Really? Have him file that in court. How about you, ma'am? If you want to try to be like the Florida lady, how about you try to intervene and file something in this case, which you have no standing to, ma'am? How is that a false statement as fact? That is the truth about what happened. He screenshot my posting instead of sharing it. If he shared it the proper way, I'd be getting the engagement in the comments. Instead, he screenshots my posting, uploads the image to attach to a brand new posting so he can farm engagement. Ma'am, you're beginning to make yourself look more and more ridiculous, more and more unreasonable, right? And again, just more ridiculous, extremely ridiculous. You should stop while you're ahead. I mean, I'm not trying to silence you. Talk about me all you want. If you want to keep saying this, talk about it all you want, but I'm going to keep responding to it and correcting the record. How ridiculous is this? It's so ridiculous. And then she's saying, let's compare engagement. Of course, when he uses me as fuel for outrage, he's going to get more engagement. Of course. Of course. And what's happening here is affecting my engagement and affecting me from reaching the right audience because of what he's doing. Using my content, even on my community postings, as his? Come on. What she's trying to do, she's trying to paint you as dishonest and incompetent. Nice try, ma'am. Not going to work. Also, she's baiting you into making a quantifiable claim, stolen engagement. They can nitpick. Oh, I'm not going to file anything on that, at least not now. I'll probably save that for the copyright case. He is stealing engagement. That's what it is. It speaks for itself. It's my posting that he screenshot and re-uploaded and made it his own posting. Do these people not have common sense? Well, come on. My response, I'm describing a tactic, not claiming I own people. When you screenshot someone's post instead of linking it, you keep the discussion on your thread. That's obvious. And I'm not going to argue analytics. I'm not going to argue analytics with hecklers. The behavior is plain. Screenshot to capture the conversation, then dogpile. Thought you were a nice lady, man. I thought you were a nice lady. If you're a nice lady that really cares about your man, wouldn't you be telling him to behave a little more maturely and stop this nonsense? Or do you just enjoy the nonsense, ma'am? Does this nonsense keep your mind off of other aspects of your life that, in my opinion, may be affecting you. I don't know what they are, but I'm just saying your behavior is odd to me. Put a 1 in the chat if you feel her behavior is odd. I think it's odd. It's my opinion, ma'am. It's my protected speech. Nice try. Try harder. Comment number 9. The defendant again, paraphrased. Hey, Jenny, welcome. Happy Sunday to you as well. 1 minute delay between what I say and what goes out. If you watch the replay, there's a part about 5 minutes or so at the beginning that needs to be forwarded through. I was muted by mistake. Sorry about that. He's saying that I have no views. And then he's saying, you know, he's saying that what's there to steal? That I have no views. And he's saying that calling him a content thief is defaming him. No, you are a content thief. I have proof of that. I have proof of that. That is content theft. You've done it for many years. I have lots of proof. You're trying to paint to your audience that I'm speaking from my rear end, and I'm not, sir. I have all the proof. I've already submitted that to the circuit civil case, and wait till you see what happens in the copyright case. What he's trying to do, 2 moves. 1, belittle your platform, no views, to reduce your credibility. Number 2, flip the accusation back. You're defaming me to blur who did what. Not going to work, sir. Put a 1 in the chat if you feel he's defaming me. Put a 2 in the chat if you feel I'm defaming him. We all know the truth. 1 in the chat if you feel he's defaming me. 2 in the chat if you feel I'm defaming him. My response? This is the classic flip. He insults my platform, then pretends that ends the conversation. It doesn't. Also, calling someone a content thief can be opinion. Well, it's true. He is one. There's no doubt about it. There's proof. There's a lot of proof of it. I can back it up. He knows that. But the real question is conduct. What did you use? How much did you use? And what was the purpose? We're talking about the full-blown restreams of entire pieces of my hour-plus streams or other content. Those are factual issues, and those are exactly what I document, sir and ma'am. Comment number 10. The defendant again paraphrased. He's saying that I can't take the mockery. He's saying I file copyright strikes on everyone. He's saying, why not let the court decide this instead of, doing this litigation on YouTube? I'm not litigating on YouTube. I'm poking fun at you, and I'm correcting the record. I'm not litigating out here, sir. You're accusing me of litigating on YouTube. Show me proof of how I'm litigating on YouTube. I was making fun of you yesterday. I was making fun of your behavior, right? If I'm making a mock fake, trial as parody, right? Or a mock fake courtroom hearing between you, myself, and the judge, I'm not litigating on YouTube. How am I litigating on YouTube? And if you think I'm litigating, then I can say the same thing about you. You're doing the same thing I'm doing. You're talking about it in the same way. So why can't I do that? Right? What he's trying to do, he's trying to make copyright enforcement sound like silencing criticism. He's also using let the court decide. That's what he did when I offered him all the evidence for the spoliation of evidence hearing. And he said, let the court decide. Because if I let you give me the evidence right now, plaintiff, then I look bad in front of my audience. It's all for YouTube optics. And that's exactly Judge Stacy is going to see. This guy is a YouTube performer, and he's not taking the court case seriously. He's not. It's obvious. It's obvious. They're all putting a 1 in the chat saying that you're defaming me. And I have all the proof of that too. So there you go. He's also using the court. He's also using let the court decide as a way to shame you into silence while he keeps talking. You're trying to silence me while you're trying to slap me with an anti-slap, saying I'm trying to silence you. When I present my case at the anti-slap, even with what's happening here right now and everything else, Judge Stacy will see the contrast. You're performing on YouTube. I'm litigating a court case within the court case. Now, am I sharing some information publicly that I can and that I want to keep my audience aware and to also debunk the lies that you're putting out there? Yes, but I'm not litigating out here. Okay, you're performing for YouTube, okay, and I'm running my case. That's the bottom line. It's the bottom line. And you're trying to silence me while trying to slap me with an anti-slap, saying I'm trying to silence you, sir. It's so obvious now. Even people within your own audience see the difference. People are starting to see the difference, sir. They're done with this. Jenny's Productions. Hello, Tia. It's a beautiful, cold, rainy day in the Bay Area. I love the rain. Oh, Jenny's Productions. Where are you from in the Bay Area? What part of the Bay Area are you in? We're in Redwood City. You don't have to tell us exactly. You can say East Bay, South Bay. We're on the peninsula. North Bay. North Bay got a lot of rain this past week. Crazy. It rains really hard up there. My response, enforcing copyright isn't silencing criticism. People can criticize all day long without copying protected material and let the court decide. Is rich coming from someone using my name and content for constant commentary? I can let the court decide the case while still correcting misinformation publicly. Those are not mutually exclusive, sir. Comment number 11, the defendant paraphrased. He's saying that regardless, I wouldn't have had any engagement anyway. He's saying that my case has been nuked, and then he insults me. That's what you think, sir. That's not what you think. That's what you want your audience to think. It's about the perception of what your audience thinks, sir. You know the truth. You'll have to explain the truth in court. I look forward to going to court with you and trying to see how you're going to separate all this YouTube performance nonsense with the real courtroom. Let's see, sir. I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready right now. I'm already set to go. I know I have it in my head. What he's trying to do, this is pure escalation. Degrade you personally to provoke a reaction and entertain his audience. That's what he's always done with everyone. That's his game. It's his game. It also tries to reframe your protected speech as proof you're lying about distress. Good luck with that, sir. My response, when someone runs out of substance, they go to personal degradation. That's what this is. My case doesn't turn on whether I made a joke on my own channel. It turns on evidence, which I have lots of. What was said, what was copied, what was repeated, and what was done. I'm not engaging with the dehumanizing language. I'm documenting it, and I'm staying focused on facts. One more part here before we wrap this up. Here's the bottom line. They want a rule where I have to be silent and polite while they say whatever they want and reuse whatever they want. No. I can speak. I can do parody. I can correct the record. The case is decided on evidence and law, not on who can generate the nastiest comment thread. I love you all. She's in San Jose. Wonderful. Wonderful. You're not too far from us in Redwood City, maybe 25, 30 minutes away. I got to go. Don and I have to do the podcast, and then I'll be walking after that. Have a good one. Take care. And as always, be good to each other. Oh, babe, do you have a quote? I'll wait. Does she have a quote? All right. Dawn has a quote. I just told her to put, there it is. She put it in there right now. All right. All right. So Dawn's quote is, when a defendant hides behind a chorus of drama to silence free speech and siphoning another's work, it is no longer a defense. It is an exposure. Wow, that hits hard. One more time. That's probably the best one yet, babe. Love you, Dawn. Love you, babe. When a defendant hides behind a chorus of drama to silence free speech and siphoning another's work, it is no longer a defense. It is an exposure. With that being said, see you all later this afternoon. Don and I are going to record the podcast. Have a good one. Take care. And as always, be good to each other. And we'll see you all later. Goodbye. Bye. 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 Bye.